on this?
I'm sorry?
The fiscal note amount on this?
The fiscal note was like 800,000, but that had to do with the administration to the comptroller that would be offset by the grant money to some extent. So that's what the fiscal note is.
The grant money is from?
Is a rider in the budget, and it's tied to the passage of this bill.
Does that come out of the $6.5 billion that we've appropriated for border enforcement, state border enforcement?
No, this is.
So we don't have enough in there already. We got to go get it from somewhere else. Really?
We can smile and laugh about it, but I don't think there's enough money when we have a porous border and we have the effects that we've seen with an open border under the prior administration. The negative, criminal, evil scourge that's been inflicted on our country, and we have, as a country, put a lot of money into border security. Through our military department, through the Texas border wall, through enhanced DPS funding. It still needs to be addressed. I'm glad we have a federal partner. I'm glad we have the amount of money necessary to defray the costs with sheriffs participating in the 287G program. It is a relatively small amount of money, but it's an important amount of money for that these sheriffs need to feel that we support them, and we're doing so by having $20 million in the budget.
Okay, thank you. And it is a pretty small amount of money. In fact, cities with populations over 1 million are not going to receive any grant money. Is that correct?
That's correct. There are 5 counties over a million. One of those counties, Tarrant County, already participates. The other 4 counties would need to absorb it in their budget. And as we all know, those budgets are big, and I think a 287G program should be self-funded within the largest of the counties.
Well, I guess if the bill passes, they'll have to agree with you. You know who the biggest immigration hawk was since the 1950s, other than Donald Trump, at the executive level, right?
The biggest what?
Immigration hawk among our presidents since World War II.
You know, I'm sure you have that knowledge. I do not.
Well, it's probably an opinion, but it's backed up by stats, and it's Barack Obama. In fact, President Obama at one point was called the deporter-in-chief. I don't think it was meant as a compliment, but it so happens that these task force models of the style of these 287Gs was first implemented during the Obama administration, but it was repealed because they discovered that immigrant communities became so scared that they did no longer want to report crimes to assist law enforcement with investigations, and they figured out that this task force model agreements actually impeded the ability of local law enforcement to carry out their duties to keep the people safe. So they quit doing it. Now, conservative philosophy usually would hold that you look at something that failed and say, hey, let's not repeat that. But isn't that what we're doing here? Repeating a failed federal program?
Senator, I'm not knowledgeable of the particulars of the exact task force model that was enacted or in place at that time versus the newly reenacted task force model. To the broader concern of that you spoke to, if you are a legal citizen and not a criminal, I don't think you have anything to fear.
Last question, Senator. If my Dallas County sheriffs are participating in a 287G agreement and performing duties pursuant to that agreement, isn't there some sheriff's work that they're not doing? Or are they going to have to work overtime? You know,
if you choose sheriff's work, you're maybe prioritizing, I consider this sheriff's work. They are laws that need to be enforced.
Well, it's the sheriff's department.
If I'm having to make the decision as that local sheriff between stationing a sheriff's deputy next to a school and doing traffic stops on moms taking their kids and trying to get them there by 8 o'clock in the morning versus going out and or assisting through the warrant service officer model or the task force model, the jail enforcement model, the identification and detainment of criminal aliens, I think I'd choose the latter. I think the people that elected me as sheriff would want me to choose the latter. And that's where I'm at on that.
Very good. I think the colloquy has clarified the intentions of the bill. That's what I intended to do, so thank you.
Thank you.